lawyers, this is a three-part series, and today's content is what kind of camera for a law firm video shoot. And this is a three-part series that's going to help you look at do-it-yourself video for your law firm. There's three ways to work with us. Our agency does it all for you, coaching, and self-study courses. In this episode, what kind of camera or cameras for your law firm video, you're going to learn about what kind of cameras have what kind of functions in a law firm video shoot and the specs that matter the most to me so that you can figure out what kind of camera you might want and why. For those of you who want video but have no interest in filming, you might want to try artificial intelligence video, and you can go back and look at my series all about artificial intelligence videos and a bunch of ideas that I had about that linked somewhere around here, or you can reach out to me, Mary at GoMediaMarketing.com. Growing a law firm is a lot of work, and now you're considering video, so you might want to do it yourself. But why listen to me? Well, because I've taught over 100 law firms, give or take, probably more give than take, video production, specifically videos for meeting new clients. And probably I've taught more than that because of all the speaking gigs that I've had teaching law firm educational videos since 2008. That's a long time. I've set up studios for law firms all over the United States and Canada. I've created tutorial videos for their specific projects. You know, I'll be like on the plane going home creating an ebook about their unique and special setups, because every single setup for video production is unique and has certain quirks that you need to pay attention to. What you need to know is that only a tiny handful of law firms continue to produce their own videos. Video actually is a lot of work. It's a whole career when you think about it. It's like, oh, I'm just going to be a lawyer, or I'm just going to be a video. Actually, being a lawyer is a lot harder. Never mind. But those who do continue to produce videos do have like a library of videos working for them. They also continue to get clients on many platforms for years to come. I'm just going to have a little personal moment to thank those of you who purchased my Google Maps Road to Success online course. I'm so grateful. I don't make anything from creating this content for you guys unless, of course, you get a course here or there. And I'm super busy with my client base, building my family law practice, and going to school. As a matter of fact, I'm a little jacked up right now because I just got done with a huge test. And I just don't know how you guys got through law school. I'm sort of marching towards law school, and I literally threw up right before the test. So anyway, thank you so much for showing the love by getting my courses or reaching out to work together on a project. So let's talk about this three-part series. In this episode, which is episode 1 out of 3, we're going camera shopping. And that's because my camera, this beautiful Canon XF400, I'd rather just call it Pinky or something, but the XF400 Canon is a fabulous camera. I broke it, got it off the plane, and it was totally smashed, which was a bummer. So I have been seriously deep into camera shopping, and I hope I can really help you here. So I'm going to talk today about the specs that I need and what to look for in a camera and why for law firm video shoots. In episode 2, I'm going to talk about how I use a green screen for do-it-yourself videos. I love a green screen. I do some very creative stuff that most people don't do with green screens. And then in episode 3, we're going to talk about how to beautify with law firm video lighting, because I'm telling you, video lighting makes all the difference between looking 20 years younger sometimes. And I don't know about you, but if you're in your 40s, 50s, or even 60s, 70s, you're just going to want to like yourself on camera, and beautiful lighting makes all the difference. So what kind of cameras for law firm videos? I normally have a lot of video cameras for various uses. It's kind of like guitars. You know, you don't play acoustic guitar in a metal band, or maybe you do, I don't know. Cameras each have their own specific usage and personality. This video is all about choosing a camcorder, but let's look at why you might use a blogger camera or a DSLR camera. First, let's talk about the blogger camera. This is what I'm calling a blogger camera because it pretty much, it's like the kind of camera where they walk around with it on a little handle for YouTube, and they'll talk about something, maybe travel videos or something like that. And it's got a viewfinder where you can turn the viewfinder towards yourself, which is really cool. And these actually have a lot of fabulous features. You can use them for shooting educational videos at your desk. Get it all set up with some great blurry background, maybe even a little bit of skin smoother. Some of these have interchangeable lenses, which is great. This one doesn't. It's the Sony ZV-1, but it is a great little blogger camera. But the drawbacks of these little cameras is, first of all, they turn off really quickly. They overheat, and the little batteries don't last very long. So you'd want to actually find a way to connect it to AC so that it stays plugged in. But even when they stay plugged in, even though they say that they can film for like 13 hours, I have found that they turn off pretty quickly, and that can be kind of irritating when you're on a roll. Also, what you might need to watch out for is that you're definitely going to need an external microphone, fabulous lighting, of course, to make yourself look beautiful, unless you're under 30 or so. And also, you're going to need post-production editing, because you probably aren't going to do it all in one take. Also, as with any camera, there is a learning curve. So even though I can just open this and it looks like you can just start pointing and shooting, there's going to be something that you're going to need to learn about inside of the menu. So now let's talk about DSLR cameras. Those are those still shot looking cameras that are offering video. We happen to love them. I mean, we as in videographers, because you can use interchangeable lenses to get all kinds of cinematic effects, and I always use one. But the drawbacks with most DSLR cameras is that of course you need a mic and you need great lighting and post-production, but mainly the drawback with a DSLR camera is that you need stabilization gear. You just can't grab and go with a DSLR camera the way you can with a modern camcorder. This is the kind of camera that you want when you want to go into the menus and take a lot of time setting up the shots and knowing how the camera is going to move or if it's going to move. You just have to love manual settings for your DSLR video production. Camcorders. My workhorse is always a modern camcorder where I can just grab it and shoot. And for me, camcorder should be broadcast quality for TV, have a full-size sensor, possibly Wi-Fi and streaming capabilities, a bright, good-sized monitor for outdoor shooting, and hopefully it should be somewhat lightweight because I do carry it around all day long. I shoot a lot of music videos too, and I want a camcorder that has 120 frames per second. What that means is that it shoots really slow, really clean slow motion. I also want, out of all of this, I don't want it to cost very much money. So if it has all those qualities, you can't go wrong. So let's jump in right now and look at the things that I was really contemplating about purchasing my camcorder, and I'll tell you which one I'm going to get. So here's my actual shopping list. The Canon XF400 is the one that got smashed in Kentucky, and it has been discontinued. But I've created this little graph to put the most important things to me in, and then the prices that I found for these. So my Canon XF400 is a little bit older. It's about 3.5 years old, and it has a 1-inch sensor. And I'm putting down this column whether you can have Wi-Fi or streaming or internet access wired. Also, the monitor size and how many dots makes a big difference to me, because that means I can see it outdoors better if it has more dots and it's a little bit bigger. So most of these all seem to be 3.5 inches, which is pretty big. Also, the weight matters to me. That's how heavy this one was, and this Canon did get a little bit hard to lug around after hours and hours running around chasing law firms. I like the 120 frames per second, and my Canon XF400 had that, and I found it used for a couple of different prices here and there, just on eBay and whatever. The Canon XA70 was a big contender for me. It has the 1-inch sensor. It is not a streaming camera though, which I thought kind of made it a bummer. It's much lighter than the one I had before. It doesn't have 120 frames per second, and it's about $2,500. So I kept looking. The HCX2 has a 1-inch sensor. Yes to everything. It totally has a wired landline connection to the internet. It has a lot of dots here for the great monitor. It's a little bit heavier than what I'm used to and has 120 frames per second, and it was a little over $3,000. Now, the only difference between the X2 and the X20, these are both brand new, they just came out, is that the X20 doesn't actually have this LAN, which is the hardwired internet, but that doesn't really matter to me that much. So it is a little bit heavy, a little tiny bit lighter than the X2, and it has 120 frames per second. So this is actually the one that I just purchased. I'm going to let you know how that one goes. This is a little bit older Panasonic, which would be just fine. It's got a smaller sensor size, but these Panasonics tend to have a lot of these modern capabilities. Streaming, the nice looking monitor, a little bit lighter, 120 frames per second, and this one's just a little bit cheaper, but it's an older camera. The Sony RX100 is one of those pocket-sized sort of blogger looking cameras, and I'm super impressed with it because it has the 1-inch sensor. It doesn't have Wi-Fi or streaming, but it can be a webcam. It has a slightly smaller monitor because it is a really small camera, but it's got, you know, really good, a lot of dots, not quite as many as this one, but apparently the viewfinder is insanely good, a tiny viewfinder, which helps a lot when you're outdoors. It's so light, it's just a tiny little thing, and yes, it has 120 and it shoots at 4K, and it's much cheaper. Now the reason that I don't super recommend this is that it does turn off after a while. It gets hot and turns off, and isn't that good for long speeches or speaking for any length of time. So the winner for me was actually the Panasonic HCX20, and I'll let you know if I like it or if I end up returning it. I know this has been a long video, and that's because I'm kind of a gearhead. I love gear, and I know that anyone who's not a gearhead has probably fallen asleep a long time ago or tuned out, and that's fine. But whatever camera you get as a gearhead, make sure that it's the specs you actually need. If it's on a tripod all the time in front of a green screen, you still need high resolution, especially with a green screen. But for instance, you may be able to give up the 120 frames per second because you're not planning to shoot a music video in slow motion. Okay, speaking of green screens, the next episode, 2 out of 3, is how to use a green screen for do-it-yourself law firm videos. And I'm going to talk about how I use a green screen with so much love and creativity for you lawyers. If you like my content, please purchase my handbook, How to Grow a Car Accident Law Firm, or any of my courses, and learn a few things about, from my perspective, having grown law firms my entire life. This supports my channel and encourages me to make more of these deep dive free content videos. Thank you so much, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Join us on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That's so that more law firms like yours can find this content. Thank you so much.